Good evening, everybody. Mute yourself. I am Mike Tedesco, the editor-in-chief of Wrestleview.com.
And I am Victoria Tedesco.
Welcome to Post Raw. It's good to be back with you all. And as you can see, we finally got new blinds. Finally, at long last, there are blinds that we're not totally embarrassed of at all.
No, not at all. Not even the slightest bit.
Screens here. There we go. That's a lot better. Now, if I look at you, it's like this, and then it's
then
in
it's
the
like
box.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, it's like the Brady Bunch.
Ooh.
Well, anyway, yeah. Hi, everybody. Good to be back with you all. All right, and we have a doozy of a Raw to talk about tonight. But before we do, let's say hello to everybody. We haven't seen everybody in 2 weeks
we
now.
haven't.
We missed the week before Memorial Day. We just weren't feeling good. We were just super busy, tired, couldn't do it. Last week was Memorial Day. We had family over until like 9:30, and it was just like Roy recapped the first half of Raw.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't do a show on. I only watch half the show. And,
Yeah.
you know, you have a couple of adult beverages, and it's like, who wants to set up podcast equipment after that? And I was grilling all day. Come on.
You were really busy Memorial Day.
Yeah.
You were nonstop, literally the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Afternoon till the night.
The grilling was good.
The grilling was really good.
The grilling was really good. So let's say hello to our friends in the chat room. So we got.
And what do you guys think of our curtains, by the way?
Well, Daniel Shell gave it a cranky Bret Hitman Hart 4 out of 10. Whatever. There's subtitles on the Facebook stream for those interested. Oh, cool. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That is neat.
Yes.
That is neat. So this is our first time ever streaming live on Facebook as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a cool thing.
That's amazing.
It's a cool thing. We kicked it off with Roy this past Friday, simulcasting on Facebook. And you know what? Just because we're on Facebook for the very first time, post Raw on Facebook for the very first time, let's say hello to our very first Facebook commenter, Brian Ridgely, simulcasting on Facebook.
Hey.
Yes, we are.
Hello.
Yes, we are, Brian. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on Facebook. Very cool. And you have the Cartman logo too. That's a good profile picture there. We got a double A plus from Quentin Walters for the curtains.
Ooh, I love that.
All right. Mashun Walls gives it an A plus. Mr. V gives it a curtains an A plus. Goosey curtains thumbs in the middle. Damn it.
Some people I feel like are going to miss our curtains. They're in the basement if anybody wants them. We'll auction them off.
We're gonna burn them.
I know.
We're gonna burn them. It's just the heat index is just too
way
high.
too bad.
It's too damn high.
I don't know how people honestly, because obviously being in New Jersey, like, you get your heat waves, right? But you get like mostly a reprieve at some point. I don't know how people who live in other states, like, they get it constantly. I could not deal with this weather all the time.
Michael Jewell is watching on Facebook. He says, hi, Mike and Victoria.
Hey.
Hello, Michael.
Hey.
And Brian Ridgely also says, now that's a great way to debut. I agree with you, Brian. I agree. Mr. V says, I will miss the old curtains. I thought you were going to burn them while listening to the Nickelback Raw theme. We are.
Yeah, no.
It's been so damn hot. It's insane. Andrew Elder wants to burn them. Yeesh, burn them, says Nafis Sadat. So we can say hello to Nafis. We can say hello to Andrew.
Hello.
We can say hello to Daniel Scheel. We can say hello to Billy Hefner. Uncle Billy is here. We can say hello to Goosey as well. Graham Costigan Cripps. Hey, Tedesco family. We got Mashun Walls. We got our dear friend Quentin Walters here. We have, I don't know if I said it, but Roy Nemmer, the esteemed host of the SmackDown post show, is here with us.
Hello.
The whole reason for this whole entire presentation that we're giving you tonight on StreamYards, it's all Roy Nemmer. He is a master. He is the best.
Quick question.
Okay.
And this goes it could really go to anybody, but I'm at 22% and my computer's not plugged in. Do you think we'll make it the whole show?
Definitely not. That's why we have charges.
Will it reach though?
I will have to move it over there.
Okay.
Well, Chris LG, I'm back. Welcome Mike and Victoria. Yes, indeed. So, thank you, everybody. And,
Daniel just goes, no.
and of course, Roy, I am not too kind. I am telling you the truth. All right. So we have, so of course we have Sweet Louis Veraldi, the old curtains. I mean, well, I think I missed the first part. Watching on my new TV, glad I don't have to see new curtains on the big screen. The old curtains, I mean.
They really are offensive.
They were offensive.
They were
to
very
the eye.
offensive.
They definitely were. Roy, and by the way, Roy is the Wrestleview tribal chief.
Yeah.
And we here and on the Post Raw show acknowledge Mr. Nemmer. We certainly do. We certainly do. He has been acknowledged.
Yes, Goosey. I did forget that.
Well, that's okay. All right. So we have to talk about Raw tonight.
Yeah, we have to, I guess.
Like there was stuff on the show that was I thought it was really good. Like there were things that, I mean, well, actually almost all of it involved Randy Orton and Riddle.
Yes.
But it was all eclipsed by Alexa's Playground. Okay. Shayna Baszler, a legitimate MMA fighter.
Yes.
I'm okay. Let me just start off by saying I give Shayna Baszler incredible props for the acting that she did tonight.
Yeah.
Because she tried to take a turd, and that's exactly what they gave her. A turd. And she tried to polish it up.
She did.
But my God. There's no saving this Alexa Bliss garbage.
No.
This fiend Alexa Bliss magic crap.
No.
It's atrocious.
Yeah.
It's absolutely atrocious.
Honestly, it's so true. There's really nothing to salvage it at this point. It would have been one thing if it worked with Bray Wyatt, and then it was just like, obviously like the female version of it, and people were into it, and I think it's just like a vocal minority. I shouldn't say that. I feel like there's a minority. I don't know if they're necessarily vocal, but there is a minority that do like it, obviously. And it's a very small group of people. But if it had,
one of them's Daniel Shell.
I mean, listen, I think we can even agree that Daniel just likes Alexa Bliss. I don't think he likes this whole concept, her being on TV every week. Yeah, fine, whatever. But I really do think, though, that at this point, when it comes to the whole thing, it was just a bad move from the beginning. Because, when Bray Wyatt first came around with the whole concept, right? We've spoke about this in length. People were interested. People really enjoyed it. And then it got, crazier and crazier as it progressed. It would have been one thing. I love you too, Daniel. It would have been one thing if it really was like a home run and they really wanted to get Alexa Bliss to do it because she is a strong character in the sense of like she's really good on the mic. She acts really well. That's fine, if it worked initially with Bray Wyatt. But the fact that it did not, like it did really well, but then it ran its course and then it got too outlandish for its own good, that doing it with Alexa Bliss, it's not working. And it's not the fault of her. It's not the fault of her. I don't blame her for it. I blame the overall creative team for giving them to her, because I will say this, and I've said it over and over again, I think she does a good job with it. It's just not meant for this type of show. If you're looking at some sort of like crazy movie or like whatever, that's fine. It's not bad for something like that. And she portrays the part well, but it just doesn't fit with what a wrestling entertainment company is supposed to be. Granted, mind you, I don't even know what it's supposed to be anymore. WWE is getting a lot of backlash lately, just in general, for the things that they are putting on their product. But it didn't work in the first place. That's just the main point I'm trying to say. Why continue it? And you weren't salvaging it by bringing Alexa Bliss into it. It's not, no matter who you put in there, you could have Charlotte Flair doing it. It just wasn't going to work.
I have to agree with you. It's it's just not made to succeed.
Not for this.
Not in professional wrestling.
No, not in
Let's just say
professional
that.
wrestling. It's again, it's really no fault of Alexa Bliss.
No. Look,
she is doing a great
everybody's
job.
working hard. Everybody's working hard at this thing. You know, they're, like I said, they're giving them a turd and they're trying to polish it up. But as Nafis Sadat, our dear friend, said, a polished turd is still a turd.
Yeah.
There's no question about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's you know, like, I feel bad for the performers. I mean, I feel bad for the performers for a number of reasons. You know, it's morale just cannot be good in the company right now with so many releases.
I was gonna say, well, before we go into Raw, we should definitely talk about the individuals who.
Well, we have to talk about the individuals because it completely affects Raw as well.
It does.
Because it's not like Lana was gonna save Raw or anything like that, or save the women's division.
No, not by any means.
It's not like Peyton Royce was gonna do it. It's not like Ruby Riott was gonna, like, you know, if she moved over to Raw, she could save it or save the women's division or just keep it interesting even on SmackDown, because on SmackDown there's almost no women as well either. But they were bodies. They were a means to an end. They mean that, you know, even if they debuted Santana Garrett, Santana Garrett wasn't phenomenal. She had like that kind. She had the main roster look.
Yeah,
let's just put it that way.
Yeah, she did.
She never actually debuted on the main roster, but before they released her, they had her at Friday Night SmackDown getting ready to debut her, and then they held off on the plans, and then they just released her.
It did that.
But she would have just been another person there for Bianca Belair to face, or Bayley to squash on the way to facing Bianca Belair. If these people mean that Rhea Ripley has another opponent other than Asuka or Charlotte Flair, you know, Nikki Cross is pulling double duty, trying to, you know, be enhancement for Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley, and they're trying to make her interesting right now, which is next to impossible when you're booking her in 2-minute beat the clock challenges where she beats Rhea Ripley and beats Charlotte Flair, doing her no favors. Oh God, like that's those releases right there are just so damaging.
Well, yeah, they're damaging and they're foolish for the many reasons that you spoke about just now. You have such a limited roster to begin with, the women's division, to even release anybody.
Well, I mean, they released Lana. She like,
well, say what you want about her.
She was with Naomi in a tag team. Now, who are Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke going to face on an endless loop of shit matches?
And listen, I've given Lana a lot of crap over the last few months. I've been critical of her. And again, I don't
think her character work was good. I don't think that her acting was great.
No, but
that was the shit they were giving her.
Exactly. And you know what, too? Even though with all the crap that, again, I've been kind of giving her, at the end of the day, she was still another individual that they could have had and just there. And it's just not good overall for the women's division. It really, really, truly isn't. How are you supposed to, you know, build up anything if you have a very limited roster? You know, I mean, there's no room for any type of growth. There's no room for really anything. But say what you want about her too. This is the point I was trying to make before. With Lana in particular, she still brought attention. Like there's still a following there. You know, people are interested in her TikToks, and people are that kind of whole old saying, like, you know, bad press is good press type thing.
Well, they got plenty of that with the Alexa Bliss stuff.
Definitely Lana was definitely one who people were critical of, right? But at the same time, people know her and people gravitate towards her. You know, she's been involved in crappy storylines and everything, but people do watch her, you know? So it's not a good move for any female right now. And I just feel like they're really making reactive decisions to things And I guess, like you said before, it's one of those things that now with the women's division, now we really don't have anything going on. A simple tag team, done.
Right. And those tag team titles, I think being on Natalya and Tamina, no offense to them, but I think I think it's time to just put those tag team titles down. Just bury them for a little bit. Turn them into what the 24/7 title is right now. Just make them disappear for a little bit. There's no purpose to them anymore. Mm-hmm. There's no one to fight for them.
No.
Who's there? Shayna Baszler's trapped in this horrible feud with Alexa Bliss where she's using magic to make her walk like she has a lump of shit in her pants. She's making fire go off 100 yards away from her, and she has to sell it like it was next to her face. Like, so we don't even have Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler available. Not that I'd want to see that match a million times, because we saw it twice and it was not good. Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. Who else? There's no other tag teams. That's it.
Well, there isn't.
I just listed all the tag teams.
Isn't. And then you're going to get random, like from whomever. Again, we don't have many people left of the women's division. Then you're going to put random people together. Well, I mean, you've been doing that regardless, but still, it's
and the Raw and the Raw main event scene is a little leaner now as well, with the release of Braun Strowman. I mean, that to me is like just so that was incredibly. And shocking.
Again, to credit Braun Strowman, he's getting a lot of crap too, getting involved in these storylines that I'm sure that he really didn't want to be involved in. But Braun Strowman, really? Because that's somebody in itself that does have potential to really be something. And he is. He's
not potential. He showed it.
Okay, but if I'm going to counteract that just for a second.
Okay.
He is something, but he hasn't been these past few months. And again, there's no fault of his own. I mean, he's involved in crappy storylines, but you have to say that, like,
moments he was doing sentons off the apron.
They absolutely did, but at the same time, though, it hasn't been his best year.
No.
But
well, he hasn't been the same since like 2018 or 2017. Which I think it was 2017, which was like the second time that they didn't go with him when he got like red hot.
But that's
he never was the same again.
Point I'm trying to make, though. But what I'm saying is like, he's obviously has something. He has been really, really hot before in the company. He can perform. So it's not like it's never been there, but he had potential to gain it back, though. He's the type of individual who could have bounced back from like crappy storylines and still been something in the company, So it's not. It's not a
star. It's like they put so much time and effort into making Braun Strowman, and then he was main eventing the last pay-per-view, and then it's just, oh well, he's gone. Budgetary reasons. That's the text that they sent to their performers. Budgetary reasons. Braun Strowman, Ruby Riott, Aleister Black, Santana Garrett, and Murphy, like they're gone.
I mean, this is going to be a weird question. Well, not really, but do you think that if they somehow get that money back, right, that they would bring them back, or no? Do you think it's a lost cause now? Do you think Braun Strowman's going right to AEW? I think Lana's a lost cause. I think she's going to join.
I think she's absolutely going to AEW.
What's Rusev's new name? Okay.
Miro.
So I think she's going.
I think she's going to try to go into acting or just continue modeling.
True, she might, but you don't think Braun Strowman? You think like I think Braun Strowman?
I think Braun Strowman's probably going to wind up going to like Japan or something like that, and just
so not
like
even like
the
AEW
big man foreigner. He could absolutely go to AEW.
He could.
God damn, like AEW has just signed so many former WWE guys that they haven't done anything with. Like Andrade just debuted this past Friday, that's a great move. Andrade definitely was underutilized. Yes. Oh yeah. You'll have some people that will make fun of him for not being able to speak the language, but when he had a perfectly good mouthpiece with him in Zelina Vega, and then they took that away from him, really whose fault is that? Like they knew his limitations, and then they take away his mouthpiece knowing what his limitations are. So anybody who's like, oh, well, he never learned to speak the language, he didn't try hard enough. It's not easy to speak English. Okay,
No,
number
English
one,
is is one of the hardest languages.
But you'll have
to
people
learn.
that will go on a podcast and say, "Oh, he didn't learn the language."
Well,
That's
that's
ridiculous.
terrible. That's
ridiculous.
just that's not.
No.
No.
But he's going to be on AEW now. I'm sure he's going to have a manager. He was with Vicky Guerrero. I mean, that's a slam dunk. The guy just needs to just get in the ring and show what he could do, and it's going to be great.
That's just a stupid argument too about the language thing because of Asuka.
They've, well, she's a different cause altogether.
Doesn't matter.
She's
next
level on everybody. But my point is that they've signed so many guys. Like everybody's like, oh, Aleister Black has got to go to AEW, and he's going to be everything that he wasn't in WWE. I'm sorry, Aleister Black. I love him. I think he's a great performer. His stuff with Murphy was awesome. I think Aleister Black's got to go to Japan, number one. I think if he signs with AEW, I don't think he gets any further than he did in WWE. They can't even find a reason to put Pac on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And Pac is way better than Aleister Black. Way better. Like, it's no comparison.
Everyone's talking about in the chat, and I do agree with them. It's becoming the WWE either rejects or again like budgetary reasons or whatever, releases of whatever. But the problem with that is that not everyone's. It's going to be the same type of thing. Yeah, Quentin writing, welcome to the AEW, the home of the WWE rejects. Yeah, Trevor. AEW is like TNA. Everyone goes there when they leave the WWE. At some point, AEW can't take on any more buys, and that's so true.
I think they're there already.
I think
they were there a couple releases ago.
I really do, and the reason why not everyone can be a star. It's not how it works. Like you're still going to have your mid card, your main event. Like you can't possibly. Not everybody who goes over there is going to be having their time to shine.
Right.
They're going to slowly turn into WWE where they have too many people and they don't know how to utilize them.
Rusev, Christian, Big Show, Mark Henry, Andrade, Matt Hardy. How about FTR? You got the Revival over there. There's a bunch of guys that have. Leo Rush was just there.
I saw that. Yeah,
it's like they have a ton of people from WWE or formerly. Now it's also not kind of fair to say because I mean WWE through this last decade has signed so many talents that it's almost impossible to find somebody that hasn't been signed by WWE. But it seems like everybody that's been getting released lately has been going there. Yeah, no, you're right about that. That's a very good point. But it is the proof is there though. You're getting released, and you're somebody like Andrade going over there. Braun Strowman probably will. We don't know necessarily, but it's going to be too much to take on at this point. I know. Name me one natural talent, big main event star AEW has developed. Well, I mean, they're developing MJF. I could say that he's definitely a big star that they're developing. I think Will Hobbs could be something someday. They definitely have. They have people that they're developing. There's no question about it. Orange Cassidy, Jungle Boy. I was gonna say Jungle Boy. Darby Allin is getting the push, but they need to not be AEW for a little bit. Yeah, I obviously there are some valid names that got released. That Lana I think is a slam dunk if she decides to continue on with wrestling. I think Peyton Royce is going to eventually get there because she's married to Sean Spears. Yeah, definitely. I think AEW should at least make a go at Braun Strowman. I think he's too big of a name not to leave him on the sidelines, let him go to Japan. But it's up to Braun Strowman what he wants to do. Yeah, he definitely wasn't released because of something that he did. Yeah, no, absolutely. He's there because he's released because that's the decision that they made. I think they thought they could go as far as they could go with him, which is insane. Because we've gone as far as we can go with Braun Strowman, yet here's another rehash of the same stuff that we've seen for weeks on end on WWE Raw. We haven't gone far enough with that. Can you put we didn't go far enough with Elias and Jackson Riker. Can you put what Shifty wrote? I like what he said about Braun.
Braun could have been the Generations organic Hulk Hogan figure, especially after the Nicholas thing, but they kept putting him in that angry giant persona instead of Hulk Hogan. He ended up the Big Show 2.0. I really wholeheartedly agree with that. Honestly, I do. I very much agree with that. There's so much that they could have done with him. He didn't have to be like this big whatever. He had a whole face thing going on that was working extremely well. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, that one really disappoints me. The women's division just overall, I just don't feel like we could have afforded to lose anybody else. Was there anybody else from that list that was, I can't remember now, that was like, whoa?
No, not really. I mean, there was no women that were like, whoa. There's none because they don't even have women on television. They're like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, if Charlotte Flair got released or requested her release, I'd be like, whoa, that's it. You know?
Yeah.
Who like, you know, if Becky Lynch walked away, you know, for good, I'd say, whoa. But,
oh man,
you know, they I mean, I just think, you know, it came up on my iPhone memory just a couple days ago, you know, like my iPhone sometimes it curates like those little libraries.
Yeah.
Sometimes where it's like, oh, here's you know, something that you did a couple years ago, and it came up with you and me, a picture of us at Evolution last night. Think about Evolution.
I know. We had a whole pay-per-view devoted to the women's division, and
look at the women's division now.
I know.
Shame.
I know.
It's
so funny.
I mean,
too.
that's heartbreaking.
If I were,
really is heartbreaking.
So there's always rumor is like an endless, like an ongoing rumor. There's always a rumor that the Bellas are going to come back at some point, right? That's always just like an ongoing thing. And even if there were some validity to that, at this point, if I were them or any of like an individual, even like a John Cena, I wouldn't even come back. Like I wouldn't even do like I wouldn't even appear. I wouldn't even appear for like I just wouldn't. Like if I was somebody like the Bellas, I wouldn't be working full time or whatever.
No
like
one's turning down money.
Nobody. True, but
nobody.
I like if you're gonna go back full time to something, I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't. I don't feel like I would. For what? What are they gonna come back to? Like nothing, basically. So.
it's maddening, you know, and you know when you're like watching this show tonight, and I'm watching, you know, a tag team battle royal for instance. Let's just kick it off with talking about that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, there was a pretty funny moment at the beginning because, of course, you know, even though like they had like, you know, they open up the show, there's people in the ring, and I'm like, oh my god. Raw is actually going to start with a wrestling match. Oh my god, I cannot believe this. Oh, and of course, like as soon as I saw the New Day holding microphones, I was like, of course, we can't just start with a wrestling match. Then they send out AJ Styles and Omos, and AJ cuts this long ass promo. But the saving grace of that whole entire thing, there was two things that really saved it. Number one, the interactions with Randy Orton and Riddle. I mean, that is saving Raw for me. Really saving Raw for me because how did Randy Orton go from literally went directly from one of the worst feuds I've ever seen in professional wrestling in all of my years of watching, one of the absolute worst things I've ever laid eyes on in entertainment, period. Maybe the movie The Fog was worse, but The Fog only lasted an hour and a half, and Randy Orton and The Fiend lasted 4 months.
It was an ongoing fog.
It was like The Fog on an infinite loop. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen, period, in any entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Any entertainment endeavor.
Yep.
To then being in what could potentially be one of the best odd couple tag teams of the last 2 decades.
It's like a duo we did not know we needed.
Absolutely. Now, I don't know if it's just that this show is just so atrocious that like anything that's even remotely good stands out like it's the second coming of Dwayne The Rock Johnson in WWE. But It's really good. I love the stuff with the zip the lip, and he zips, he does the thing, but gives him the key, puts it in his boot, he puts it in his pocket, he throws it in the garbage. The whole thing, their dynamic is just wonderful.
Yeah.
When Riddle was explaining why he was wearing 2 of their t-shirts, because Randy Orton doesn't wear shirts and Randy Orton also doesn't wear pants, I laughed. Because
it's funny.
And then when John Morrison rolled the Miz out to the stage, nothing about John Morrison's gimmick is remotely entertaining or funny to me. The drip shit is just dripping with awfulness. But when he started doing his entrance and let go of Miz's chair and he starts rolling down the ramp and they immediately go to slow-mo and Miz is like, that was hilarious.
It's comedy gold right there.
That was hilarious.
That was hilarious.
I could not. I've never seen a funnier Miz segment.
I was actually crying.
That was good. That being said, I just want to say this.
Yeah.
We still had a tag team battle royal where 2 teams only had 1 member representing their team.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where we are. That's how deep the Raw roster is. And then later that night, 2 people from that same match had to fight again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, what were you going to say?
So
hello, Lamar Lott, by the way.
Hello.
Sorry, Lamar. And I don't think we said hello to King of Huecamundo yet, nor did we say hello to Jorge Oliva. But I think we got him in there now. So, okay, go on. Bye.
I am just, I love a good odd couple. I enjoy Riddle and Orton so much together. It's really the duo I did not know that I needed. And it's funny with Randy Orton that you mentioned before that he can go from like one of the worst storylines to the saving grace of Raw. It's so funny how there's certain individuals that can kind of like make or break things. Think about it. He was in a huge storyline with Edge right before the whole thing with the Fiend, right? And now
he was the WWE champion with Drew McIntyre right before the Fiend.
And now he's back to again, bring comedy into it, bringing his shtick into it with the whole Riddle thing.
Yeah, I gotta say, Bobby Lashley better never lose that WWE title.
No.
Because the last 2 people, other than Drew McIntyre, that were WWE champion, Randy Orton immediately went from being WWE champion to going into a feud with The Fiend, and The Miz went from being WWE champion to getting eaten by zombies.
Yeah. That just shows what happens.
Hold on to that title with all you got, Bobby, because I think what's going to happen when he loses the title, his group of escorts that have been bringing him to the ring.
Oh dear Lord!
There's gonna be like some inferno that kills them, and then they're gonna come back and eat him alive.
Okay.
It's gonna
be a combination of
it's gonna be weird.
The zombies and the fire.
It's gonna be
a combination of those 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
The WWE champion curse, as Daniel Schell says.
Yeah, no, it is. There really is. It is truly there.
Now, Michael Jewell just from Facebook just brought up one of my favorites.
What your favorite odd couple? Yeah,
of all time. Booker T and Goldust.
Mine is still Kane and Daniel
Bryan.
That's my favorite.
I mean, they're the standard.
Yeah,
Booker T and Goldust. They're like number 2 for me. If they keep it up with Randy Orton and Riddle,
they'll be in the top 3.
They could be number 3.
They can.
I'll never forget Goldust after he got the when he got shocked in that electric panel, and he came out next week and he's like talking to Triple H. He goes, "Because I know deep down there in the cockles of your heart." Ric Flair legitimately lost it in the ring.
Yeah.
He couldn't handle himself. He was laughing so hard.
That's how I'm finding myself though.
Funny
with when Daniel Bryan and Kane were together, I found myself just laughing constantly. And even with like Riddle and Randy Orton, they make the show, you kind of forget that you're watching this shitty show, with the 2 of them. You get lost for a moment because it's just so funny, their interaction together.
All right.
You never, at first when they were put together, it's like, what are they doing? What's going on? Is this going to work? But then you think about it and you're like, it makes sense because Randy Orton being who he is, right? Because he brings, even though he brings that like more serious component to like Riddle's definitely like the comedic portion, but Randy Orton definitely brings that little bit of comedy where it's like he's like flabbergasted sometimes about what Riddle's doing. Like,
Yeah.
huh? Like, whatever. So he brings it to the table too with that. So it's a good partnership for sure. And and honestly, the Miz thing with the chair, I was cracking up. Like, Miz with wheelchair segments can continue. Like, that's fine by me.
I think it was a good gag. And I think
it
now
should continue.
that we're talking about it and saying it's funny, I guarantee you in about 3 or 4 weeks we're going to be saying, God, that is so overplayed now.
Well, it depends what they do with it.
They know how to take a joke.
Yeah, they do. They do.
This creative team, they rarely come up with something that's funny. And when they do, they beat it to death. They absolutely beat it to death. So we'll see what happens. But in this tag team battle royal, we had Randy Orton and Riddle. We had the Viking Raiders. We had the New Day. We had T-Bar and Mace. And then we just had Lindsay Dorado because apparently Grand Metalik is injured. And we had John Morrison. Why would a single person be allowed to be in a tag team battle royal with the winners getting a shot at AJ Styles and Omos for the Raw tag team titles? Why would a single person with a partner that they said Grand Metalik is injured? They said it on television. The stupid freaking Jimmy Smith and Corey Graves and Byron Saxton said it. And then John Morrison comes out wheeling the Miz, who said that he's injured for the first time in his career. He could be out for 9 months, and they're going to become number 1 contenders. And what? Like John Morrison's going to beat AJ Styles and Omos on his own, and Miz, just by default of sitting in a wheelchair just because they happen to be a tag team, is going to be a tag team champion. That's the kind of shit that just kills everything about the product. Like how can you possibly tune in and believe anything and get into anything that you're seeing when they so obviously don't care? They don't. Now, did we need John Morrison and Lindsay Dorado? Did we need Lindsay Dorado? Do we need Lindsay Dorado when Grand Metalik isn't injured? Is the question. No, that's the answer. Do we need John Morrison and The Miz as a tag team when The Miz isn't injured? Questionable. If they're doing the Johnny Drip Trip thing, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yet we had them, and they were eliminated in the first minute of the match. So what purpose did that serve other than to say we don't care?
I don't know.
We don't care.
I don't know. You always ask me the wrong questions because I don't know.
They're rhetorical. The question you don't know because no one knows. They don't even know. They don't know.
Oh my God, I'm crying.
I mean, I cannot believe. I couldn't believe it that was happening. Now, that said, it was just a battle royal. Once you got rid of the fucking scabs, and actually had real tag teams fighting. The Viking Raiders did win this match, which I thought was surprising, but kind of not surprising. You don't want RK Bro to go for the tag team titles now at Hell in a Cell when we're a month away from getting fans on the road. I think RK Bro should definitely be like a crowd act and see how the crowd love.
I think they'll. Yeah, I think they will. I do.
So
it's going to escalate even more. We love it now, just watching on our television when they get a crowd.
But the Viking Raiders, they were on television for 2 weeks after the Raw after WrestleMania.
Yes.
This, I think, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to have to look it up now because I'm going to paint myself into a corner here.
Okay.
But I am almost positive that the Viking Raiders haven't had a match on Monday Night Raw since the Raw after WrestleMania, and now they are the Raw tag. Now they're going for the Raw tag team titles.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm right.
You were right.
I'm
okay.
absolutely 100%
okay.
right.
I'm not. You know what? To be honest with you,
they haven't wrestled since April 19th. Ivar comes back from a devastating neck injury, surgery on his neck. They're in the exact same match 2 weeks in a row, Raw after WrestleMania, then the Raw after the next week against Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin, and then they're not seen again until some stupid segment with Mansour last week, and now they're the number 1 contenders.
That's how
That's WWE for
WWE.
you. That's WWE for
Must
you.
be Monday.
Must be Monday. Must be Monday if we're using people. Like, my God, it's insane. But I mean, I know they're not going to do dick with them, but I am happy that at least it's not like, the complete obvious, like obviously it's going to be Randy Orton and Riddle going after the tag team titles
of course, but that's okay.
They got to stretch this out as far
sometimes
as
predictability is fine. Other times it's nice when, a legitimate tag team going for,
right,
a title.
Now here's a segment that just didn't make any sense to me.
Oh,
and we normally don't cover all of the segments on Raw, but this really was just stupid. Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce are talking backstage. Charlotte Flair walks up. She talks about, I was pressured into that match with Nikki Cross last week, and I want it stricken from my record. And Adam Pearce is like, no, and Sonya Deville is like, oh, you lost fair and square. It's like, hold on a second. What? Just a few weeks ago, wasn't Charlotte Flair suspended indefinitely, and then the very next week, Sonya Deville debuted on Raw, bringing her back?
Yeah.
And was pulling all of these strings to get Charlotte Flair every advantage.
Yes.
And now she's against Charlotte Flair.
Mm-hmm.
Did they fire that writer in all of the firings that they've done the last month and a half?
I love continuity.
Did they fire the person who was at least handling that storyline? Do they think that we're idiots?
Yeah.
Yes.
They do. They do. They really do. They think we all have,
And as administrators, how do you even arrive at the decision that they came up with? It's like, let's go with every single WWE friggin' trope that we can think of because we're at it. We have no ideas for this feud. You're just in this feud because there's no other women for you to face. Charlotte, Nikki, and Rhea and Charlotte. I can't even remember Rhea Ripley's name because she's such a loser.
Oh my God.
I can't.
Wow.
She's such a nothing burger. I keep calling her by a different name. There were multiple times that I wrote different names for Rhea Ripley tonight because I was
Stop it.
I
Did you
swear,
really?
I'm not even kidding.
Wow.
I could not
I know it was that
remember her name.
I did not even know
because
that.
she's such a non-factor.
I mean, I agree with you. I didn't know you were calling her other names.
Like I was typing, I typed Raw Women's Champion Asuka by accident. I had to go back. Oh yeah, right. It's Rhea Ripley.
Wow.
Like
that's crazy.
She's such a non-entity. But,
I agree with that.
How do you have somebody that has that look and that much potential, and after debuting in just 3 months? 3 months. Well, that's not fair. That's not fair. It only took them 2 weeks to totally negate her. She's just been surviving for the past 3 months. How do you take somebody with that much potential and botch her up that much?
Well, it's amazing too, because you talk about how you don't normally get a second impression. Usually you get a first impression, and that could really stick with you for a very long time. And she had another opportunity to really come in and be this kind of like
not her fault.
Not her fault at all. And that's kind of been the central theme of the night, is like not to anybody's fault.
But she had that match at the New Year Revolution special event, NXT special event against Raquel Gonzalez, a last woman standing match, which was really good. Obviously, that was Rhea Ripley's blow off. Right. That was last woman standing. Mm-hmm. She debuted later that month in the Royal Rumble, and then they did this whole hype thing that she's coming. And when she finally debuted, it was a complete non-factor.
Yeah.
They had her cut a promo. She tried her best. And it was fine. Like it's all in the follow-up, right? That's why I was here. Oh, Mike, just let it play out. It's always in the follow-up.
You could see pretty early on if something's going to be good or not. And this just wasn't working. It's not, her character does not match up with her looks. They just make her
the
like
person pressing the button in the Thunderdome. Sometimes they boo her. Sometimes they have them cheering her. Sometimes she's the badass heel. Sometimes she's
the cheerleader.
Most of the time, she's just the stupid idiot.
The stupid face.
She's not, I can't even say she's a stupid face or a stupid heel. She's just
stupid. Yeah. There have been times.
Charlotte Flair, when she had the 2-minute beat the clock challenge last week against Nikki Cross, Nikki Cross was intentionally going out of her way to avoid Charlotte Flair so she couldn't be beat in 2 minutes.
It's confusing.
Meanwhile, Rhea Ripley faces Nikki Cross in a 2-minute beat the clock challenge, and Ripley is just destroying Nikki Cross and then doesn't realize, oh my God, 2 minutes ran up. She can't even tell time.
You can't have a tweener too, like coming into the in the main roster. When you are coming into the company, or no, I'm sorry, been in the company. When you're coming up to the main roster, you have to have a clear cut, just character where you're either a heel or a face. And that's always been kind of with her for the past few months. It hasn't been clear. You know, there are sometimes you're cheering her and then sometimes you're booing her, and sometimes she's a cheerleader and sometimes she's, you know, kicking butt, quote unquote. So really at the end of the day, it's been confusing for a fan. And again, not confusing to the point where you're like, what's going on? But it's just isn't doing anything for her. It's not benefiting her. It's not helping her gain any type of momentum. It's just like a lost cause at this point, you know, unless, because you're not going to get like a third time to make this right here. No. Unfortunately, she's just in it and they really, really messed it up.
Yeah, it stinks. It's sad. But that's the WWE creative machine. That's what
and I feel bad because I was really looking forward to her.
I want to find this comment from Mr. V, but I think it's too far up. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to find it, but he said that WWE in these last few years has destroyed more careers than they've made, and there's a lot of truth to that. And you know, look, they've released so much talent, and the talent that they're going with just they're not going to be able to carry this show. So, for example, the next thing that we had following up all this stuff is Elias versus Jackson Riker. They broke up last week for no reason, and now we have to sit through this feud, which nobody asked for. A team that formed randomly out of nowhere, like how it formed was Elias was on main event like right before Survivor Series, and Jackson Riker was just there behind him, and then they debuted next week on Raw. No explanation of why they got together. And then it's like, oh, they were pretending they had like this like backstory, and then they broke up. And because Elias said he's unhinged again, they had to break up last week. They couldn't have broken up like after the tag team battle royal or something like that. But anyway, you know, they break up last week. They don't even want to get them to a pay-per-view. They just want it just to be over. They have Jackson Riker cut his hair. He looks like a beefier, tattooed Zack Ryder. Like it like I cannot believe
that was a really good comparison, by the way.
I'm going to show you. So Jackson Riker, no, I think I do not think that this is a good thing. You know, like most top talent don't like when their signature moves are taken by somebody who's definitely an underling, and especially one who has a questionable background with racism.
Yeah.
Jackson Riker.
Yeah.
Stealing Bobby Lashley's one-arm spine buster on Elias. I think that was not a good move.
No, definitely
not a good move for him. But anyway, they have a shit match. Elias runs away, gets counted out. So we must see this continue. We went as far as we can go with Braun Strowman, and we need to save a couple bucks. But Elias versus Jackson Riker, we need more of that. Now, that's not a thing. Oh my God, Mike wants them to lose their job. That's not what I'm saying. I don't want anybody to lose their job.
You didn't have to get Braun Strowman aggressive.
I want Strowman to keep his job. I want Jackson Riker to have a job. I want Elias to have a job, but I want them to have their job on main event, and Braun Strowman be part of the main roster.
I don't think Riker needs to have a job. I'm just gonna come out and say it.
I do think he's a little.
I think he's
strange.
Yeah,
but I mean, like, if things could have gone wrong in this match, it did. Like Jackson Riker was taking bumps for punches that weren't even being thrown yet.
They sucked.
They were just clunking around the ring, and then at the very end, this. Jackson Riker was just like screaming.
That's
and then
so hot.
Just like a big thing of snot and spit just came out of his mouth, and it stayed on his beard, and it felt like it stayed there for 1,000 years. It was like slow motion when it came out and just landed in his beard, and I was like, "Oh my God!"
Hot.
And it just stayed there, and I was just like, what is going on
That
here?
that is really
and
attractive.
and then the entire thing just fell to the mat. And I was like,
Billy, ew.
oh.
Yeah,
I was like, ugh. And the
Ugh.
camera stayed on it the entire time.
Wait, say it.
The entire
Say
time.
it.
Must be
Must
Monday.
be Monday.
Must be Monday.
Must be saliva.
Oh my God. Like, I don't think he'd come back from that. I just don't. I really
I mean,
don't.
I know if I did that, I don't think even I could come back from that.
We had a WWE championship contract signing, another WWE trope when they've run out of ideas. Like, we've been seeing Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre for the past couple months now. It's like, it's like every trope that you could possibly think of. This is your last opportunity. If you can't win, you'll never be able to go for the WWE title as long as Bobby Lashley is the champion.
Lies.
And of course, Drew McIntyre, because he's a stupid face, agrees to that. And then he puts, but then in a not stupid face thing, he challenges them to a Hell in a Cell match, and they immediately agree to it. So Bobby Lashley is like the conquering, smart. He really like that. That's like a face booking. It's like, you want a Hell in a Cell match? Yeah, sure. It's like, you're the heel. You're not supposed to want the Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah.
Whatever. They're booking Bobby Lashley like the cool heel, which I don't mind. I like cool heels. So, that's no issue for me. I love when Mr. V quotes me. But before like Bobby Lashley even got out there, like Drew McIntyre, like it's like you could tell they're just out of ideas. You could tell like the script is torn up, and Vince McMahon's like, just go out there and say something. And Drew McIntyre's talking about Robert the Bruce
and make it good.
And quoting a little engine that could. And I'm like, kill me. This is just crap. This is garbage. But at the end, they definitely. I mean, I hate WWE contract signings as a rule, because they do it so much when they're out of ideas. But I've never seen a contract signing that ended with the table being split in half by a Claymore sword. So that a first time for everything. I suppose.
It is absolutely.
So there's that.
I could do away with contract signings in general. Sometimes they serve a purpose. Sometimes they're cool.
They do them way too
more
much.
often than not, though they're not at this point. You know what I mean? So
that Claymore really just
it really did.
Wow.
He looks like a beast.
Cut the cloth.
Mm-hmm.
That's a sharp sword.
That is sharp.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
A well-made blade.
Yes.
A well-made blade. Beautiful.
If anyone watches Forged in Fire, that's where we get it.
Watch Forged in Fire, you know that we appreciate a good blade around this house here. When I buy my forge and set it up in the garage, and you're gonna see some cool stuff.
And he's going to do it, everyone.
One day I will do it. One day I'm going to do it. So Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley, Hell in a Cell with and Drew McIntyre will never be able to fight for the WWE title again. Now, obviously, I think it's a slam dunk that they're setting Drew McIntyre up to win the title, because quite literally, if Drew McIntyre can't face for the championship anymore, there's almost nobody to face Bobby Lashley for the title, except for Kofi Kingston. I mean, they kind of did lay the groundwork with MVP and Kofi tonight, which I thought was an excellent segment, where MVP was saying, you got comfortable with losing, Kofi Mania really meant something, and then you got complacent. It was that was a really, really good segment. So maybe they could do that.
I think, it's actually, not that I would hate to see Bobby Lashley lose any title. I think though that it's actually a good move if they do have Drew have it for a little while, just because it just does kind of elongate the storyline a little bit, but also too, if the crowds are coming back, which they're supposed to, right? Like the crowds are supposed to be coming back. Give him his opportunity. Honestly, listen to Quentin Walters. He knows what you're talking about.
Smart man. Smart man.
Please like, subscribe, and share this awesome channel. I agree.
Right. Daniel Shell says the Fiend is laying in the weeds. Don't say that. Oh God! Like if the Fiend gets involved in Hell in a Cell, that will be another Hell in a Cell match that the Fiend has.
Please
ruined.
don't do that. Please.
Please.
Don't put that bad douche out there. Don't put bad
vibes Fiend versus
out.
Alexa Bliss at SummerSlam. Everybody's saying Brock. I don't know.
I don't
think
think
Brock's
so.
coming back before there's crowds.
I don't-
Hell in a Cell's taking place.
I don't think so. I don't. It would take a lot for someone. Like
I think
Brock
Brock's going to
Lesnar.
come back.
I do too.
I think Bobby Lashley versus Brock is definitely a marquee match.
I would maybe like SummerSlam, maybe.
Yeah, you could.
Possibly.
And possibly John Cena.
I would say that would be
John
the
Cena versus
earliest.
Roman Reigns, possibly at SummerSlam.
That would be SummerSlam. I would say that'd be the earliest. So Brock comes back would be SummerSlam. That's just my opinion.
Right. Ay. Humberto Carrillo versus Ricochet. God, like Sheamus was there. I mean, his face was absolutely obliterated. That was he's a tough dude. He's a tough dude. His face got obliterated. Oh, they're saying they can't hear me?
What? Hello?
I don't know.
Hello? Can you hear Mike?
I hope so.
I think it was just like, speak up, son, didn't hear you.
I don't know.
But I think you meant like something else, maybe. Can you hear Mike?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, and it's HEAR.
Okay, hon, you don't have to correct people, okay?
Mr. B says he sees us all. King, so my least favorite thing in all of professional wrestling is the Spanish Fly. And they did the Spanish Fly off the apron to the floor. Humberto Carrillo, who took a bad bump on the floor just a couple weeks ago and they had to end the match early, takes a giant bump like that off the apron to the floor. Now, I think the Spanish Fly is the stupidest move in professional wrestling.
Really? You're going to go as far as saying that?
One of the stupidest moves.
Okay, I was going to say, there's definitely
it's a stupid move in general. Nobody, like it's just dumb.
Yeah.
It's totally
yeah, no, I get it.
Stupid.
I get what you're saying.
To do it off the apron is even dumber. And doing it in a match that had no finish is the height of stupidity. And doing it in the spot they were on in Raw is just completely irresponsible.
It is.
Like, look, we get it. You two don't have a personality. We get it. You don't have to kill yourselves to try to make up for that fact. It's not your fault. You should be put with a manager, but
I have a serious question.
Managers.
I have a serious question, and this goes out to everybody.
This is true as well.
Tower, yeah. So I was talking with I had a lesson today, and it involved the word ricochet.
Ugh.
And immediately, of course, my mind thought of ricochet, right? So the kids were asking, like, what does that mean? We're doing a whole like vocabulary lesson, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of my kids, one of my dear little kids was like, oh, like in WWE Ricochet. I'm like, do kids actually like him? Like, I'm like, oh my God, I hope not. Like, I was like I really wanted to like give my lesson.
Aim low, you hit high, I guess.
I was like, if I give, I wanted to give like I was like, no, please. Like, don't, like, I want to educate you a little bit more. Like, don't talk about that. Why not me? I want to educate you a little bit more. Like that. Don't let Ricochet be your idol, because that's not.
It's just sad.
Yeah,
it's just a sad state of
affairs. I was like, oh gosh, I was like the poor thing. But yeah, Ricochet came up in our vocabulary lesson today, and I was not happy about it.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna be really happy about this. Eva Marie is returning next Monday on Raw.
Why? Okay, why would I be happy about that? Because I'm not.
I don't know. That was just my transition.
I'm gonna throw that out there. I am not happy that she's coming back.
Aim low, hit high.
I really, and it's sad to say this, because even Marie, like, she's obviously been one of those. When she was there, she was like, she got a lot of heat. She did, because she wasn't progressing at all. But then it's so funny. Right before she left, she actually had like a good character.
I know, it was interesting. It was funny.
It was
actually
funny.
We were there at SummerSlam. That was the last time that she was like, that she did anything, but she wasn't there. She was already suspended at that point.
And I'm like, I'm just saying, for her, like, why would she even bother? Like, I think she's got a nice little career now. Like, she's been a few, like, maybe, okay, great. She's not the greatest actress in the world or anything, but she's been a few things. Like, she was in a movie recently. One. She was in a movie recently with Bruce Willis, whatever. Okay. So, like, again, but she's got a nice little career for herself. Like, does she really need to come back and do this? I don't think so. But maybe she feels like she has to, because that's what people know her from initially. So, I don't know. No. It's just like, I don't think, like, what is she going to bring to the division? She's not going to be facing Charlotte Flair or Becky Lynch. She shouldn't be, at least.
Becky Lynch is even around.
What I'm saying is like, your top people.
I know.
Like, is she really going to have matches with like Asuka and Charlotte Flair?
Yeah, probably.
She probably will.
She probably will.
He's like poor Bruce Willis.
But they'll have her squash Naomi first, and then. But they're bringing her in as a face. What are they going to do in a month when the guy in the Thunderdome can't press the cheer button anymore? What are they going to do?
Maybe, I mean, well, no, I'm not going to give WWE enough credit. Maybe with the crowds, they're anticipating a reaction. But she's going to have to turn heel, like literally right into it. Maybe
no choice.
They're going to have no choice.
Maybe it's a red herring. I mean, I don't think they're that smart, but you know, maybe
that's what I was saying. That's what I meant to say.
Just like something that they're just going to be like, oh, you know, like, oh, we're going to pretend that she's face.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because I can't actually see her coming in and being, because literally right before she left again, it was like the boos were just insane. No matter, you couldn't deny that crowd reaction when she came out. You say what you want about her, she obviously wasn't good, but she definitely got the crowd going to some capacity. So I foresee her doing that, and they're gonna have no choice but to do it. Maybe we can give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she will come in, be face for like a hot second.
I honest to God believe that they are going to make her a face for this next month. They're going to have all, you know, the fake crowds cheer her, and then it's going to be a rude awakening when they go in front of live crowds again. I really believe that.
I agree with Andrew Elder. I'm looking forward to the boos.
I actually don't think that they're swerving us. I think they truly are going to try to make her a face. I believe it. I believe it. Jeff Hardy versus Cedric Alexander. Jeff Hardy wins. There's just, I don't know I don't even know what to make of Cedric Alexander. You know, I
feel bad because again, the whole Hurt business was like amazing, and then Cedric
showing that he can cut a promo, but it's too much screaming and pitchy.
Well, that's how they always get, though. You know, somebody told them, like most of the superstars a long time ago, that if you really want to cut a good promo, just start screaming, and that's really not how you cut a good promo, unless you're screaming with a purpose and there's some like actual heat behind it. But you shouldn't just be screaming for the sake of screaming. That's not how you. But they all, not just Cedric Alexander, they all do it. Because
Mick Foley made a career out of screaming through his promos, but that usually there was some substance there.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that's Mick Foley.
Nikki Cross and Asuka versus Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair.
Oh, I'm surprised you said Rhea Ripley's name right, considering.
Well, I'm reading it. There was somebody that I kept saying. I kept writing her name first, and then I was like, "Oh no!"
Was it Rhea Riot or something? Was it like that?
I don't remember. But there was definitely somebody else's name that I kept typing.
I could see it being Riot.
Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley. I just couldn't get it. I couldn't get it straight because she's such a non-entity. And of course, she's the idiot in this one. She's the one who takes all the bumps, and Charlotte Flair doesn't do anything. And Rhea Ripley gets pinned by Nikki Cross. It's like she's the Raw Women's Champion. I think she's. You know, if she's supposed to be face, she's lost more matches than she's won. And if she's a heel, she's spending a lot of time on her shoulders as well. Nikki Cross and Asuka get the win after Charlotte and Rhea brawl. Mansour, what do you have anything to say about that match?
No, because we already talked. We did. We talked about it before. I feel bad for Rhea Riot.
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley.
I just can't. She's just there. Mansour versus Drew Gulock. They're doing a thing where Mustafa Ali is trying to coach Mansour. The last person I'd want to take advice from is Mustafa Ali, who just got out of one of the worst stables of all time with Retribution, and before that, did nothing. So if you want somebody to show you the ropes, you want somebody who's actually done something, and not Mustafa Ali.
Not who almost did something and then didn't quite do it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that was a thing. So Mansour wins over Drew Gulock after Gulock tried to cheat. Mansour beat him fair and square. We got Kingston versus Riddle, the second time that both these guys have to perform tonight. Now the match I like the interaction again with Randy Orton and Riddle backstage, where Riddle started talking about wanting to go to every Burger King in the country with Orton, and then he had to zip his lips, and he said, give him the key, threw it away. Randy Orton does come out with after Riddle makes his entrance and the match starts. He does come out to try to help Riddle, who got distracted by Xavier Woods. But it ultimately doesn't work. Kofi Kingston does pick up the win with Trouble in Paradise, and Orton was a little disappointed. But I was also disappointed because I was really thinking Kofi Kingston versus Riddle was going to be really good, and it just didn't. And it was okay. I'm not going to say it was bad or anything like that.
Yeah.
But they just didn't seem like they. Well, number one is the second time that they're performing tonight, it's just not easy. I don't care how good of an athlete you are; it's not easy.
It's not
get fired up again and get the adrenaline going.
Absolutely.
Maybe if there's a crowd there, you can do it, but
hard.
There's nothing there.
That's hard.
Now they worked hard, but they just weren't on the same page. Nobody was. Even like Xavier Woods, he was. He mistimed, his jump for the back suplex on the table.
Yeah.
Riddle just seemed like he was moving in underwater.
It just seemed.
It looked like it looked like they're having a match in a swimming pool, and they were doing these moves underwater because Riddle was moving slow. Kingston, they just didn't get that. I mean, they're lucky nobody got hurt on that diving Hurricane Rana.
Oh yeah,
that was
for sure.
That was a scary moment. It just
seemed. To me, the perfect word to kind of describe was just kind of off. There was a little bit of a disconnect and between the both of them. And they normally, for the most part, the two of them can really have a match with anybody and not really have that problem, But I do think that the, second time that they were involved tonight, they had to perform. That definitely, could have factored in. I think it's just maybe an off night though.
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah, I would say it's an off night. And then the show just the ultimate, drop off the cliff. If that as the final match wasn't very good, at least it was it had potential to be good, and it just didn't quite make it. This main event segment had no potential of being good, and it made it. Because it was never going to be good, so it was atrocious. This shit with Alexa Bliss and the doll, and Shayna Baszler and the pyro that's going off a million miles away from Shayna Baszler, and she has to be It's go yell at the pyro guy. You really think Alexa Bliss is, like we're supposed to believe that she's controlling the pyro? Come on, it's just look. I get it. Everybody's going to say, oh, what about Undertaker and Kane and stuff like that? Well, that was number one, that was a more cartoony era of WWE. They did not label that era the reality era like they did with this show. Like this era, they have called it. Mr. V's watching on both streams now. Excellent. They have called this the reality era before, where it's more realistic characters, and now but it's just such a 180 from anything that we've been seeing. This whole that's one of the worst things from the pandemic is that these cinematic matches, as good as they were with Undertaker and AJ Styles and the Money in the Bank matches, I thought they're really good. Then they started doing the stuff with the Fiend, the Firefly Funhouse was good at WrestleMania. I recently went back and watched that Firefly Funhouse at WrestleMania, and it was creatively interesting.
I think it served its purpose.
That swamp match with Braun Strowman, all this stuff with Randy Orton, it's just
them jumping off buildings,
all these camera tricks that they've been doing, like Randy Orton versus Edge, and they clearly cut out of the match to show some pre-tape thing with Alexa Bliss bleeding black ink from her mouth.
Some superstars got murdered,
Yeah.
But I think that, I think it served its purpose at the time. I do. I think it served its purpose because obviously there wasn't much they can do with certain stuff, not being able to even be in a location, not even just let alone an arena, right? So it served its purpose and it was cool. And again, anything in moderation is fine, right? When you have a cinematic match like that, that's fine. Every once in a while, and definitely was needed. It definitely was necessary. But in terms of when you're having like consistent now, like you're getting your roster back, your crowds are going to be coming back, things like that. This is just not, it's just not hitting the mark. And it's just not, it lost its appeal. When the Fiend first started doing and the Bray Wyatt first started doing what he was doing, yeah, it was interesting. It was unique, cool. And I thoroughly enjoyed it, but it got so crazy. It escalated into something that just is really not believable,
Yeah.
And with Alexa Bliss, it's like they kind of cranked it up even more so. Things that she's doing, the Fiend wasn't even doing.
Right. I think it was Grash that was saying that it's not a thin roster. It's a lighter roster, but not thin. It's thin on people that you'd want to see. Let's just say that. There aren't a lot of people on this roster that are really worth investing your time in. Like I saw Drew Gulock get squashed, by Mansour tonight, their latest pet project. But just a few weeks ago, he was having roses shoved up his ass and down his throat by Angel Garza, now who hasn't appeared on TV in weeks now. Let's see, no Shelton Benjamin, no Damian Priest. These are the people that that were left off. Cedric Alexander. I'm sorry, Shelton Benjamin, Damian Priest. Let's see who else was left off that's active. Akira Tozawa, yeah, Angel Garza. Let's see. Grand Metalik, they said, was injured. Jinder Mahal, I forgot he was even part of this roster already because they beat him. They've done nothing with him already. Keith Lee, who the hell knows what's going on with him? He wants to do a video at some point, and I think he'll come back when crowds come back, but I hope that.
I hope happens.
I hope he comes back and it's a total nice.
Yeah, it's a total 180 of what he was doing.
A 180 of what they were doing with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke. I'm looking. Naomi.
I don't know.
Riddick Moss, who's injured. Yeah, Riddick Moss is injured.
Yeah.
He had an ACL complete. I think he had something with his knee.
Yeah.
Completely redone.
Man.
And that's it. Those are the only people that weren't used on the show tonight, other than Slapjack and Reckoning, who are moving over to SmackDown, but they just haven't debuted them yet.
Right. Everybody
else on this page they have used.
Yep.
That isn't recovering from pregnancy or something like that.
Yeah. Isn't Lacey Evans having a girl?
Yes,
I think so.
Lacey Evans is having a girl.
Very sweet.
And Mr. V is right. It is thin on creativity, but it also isn't extremely thin. They used almost their entire group of people tonight. They
just can't afford to be keeping releasing people, just in general. But
the question is, why are they releasing the people?
I don't know.
A lot of people think that they're getting ready for a sale. I personally think that they're trying to. I do think that even though they're posting record profits, it's a lot of money to run these things, and now having to also the ThunderDome was a big expense, but also now having to gear up to get the road production crew back and stuff like that. That's gonna cost money.
Man, the talent.
But I still think posting record profits. There are definitely some things that make you go, there might be some smoke on the horizons. Why did Nick Khan get hired? He has a good relationship with NBC, obviously. I think it's always interesting to speculate about a sale of WWE. I don't think WWE gets sold while Vince McMahon's alive, but we'll see.
My whole issue is they actually go through with it, right? But Vince will never allow it. I just think he should have let individuals take over, who have been in the business. I really think if he gave Stephanie McMahon and Triple H a real shot at doing things and having complete control
with him still as the CEO.
Yeah, I think we still would be. I think we would have.
There's no way that investors. Anytime that Vince even whispers about stepping down, the stock falls.
Yeah,
because everybody thinks that Vince,
he's the king. Yeah,
the myth is that Vince McMahon created professional wrestling. Yes, he created this genre, this entity of it. But he's not the last person that could ever book professional wrestling on a mainstream level.
I agree, though.
But Paul Levesque, I don't know what kind of degree he has. I'm not sure. I don't think he has a master's or anything like that. And I think if he has a bachelor, I'm not really sure if it's, even in business. Stephanie, obviously she's well qualified, but people really, these investors really think that Vince is just it. So, Vince has talked about, and it didn't do anything to the stock, saying like, oh, I want to, step out of the weeds. That's why he hired Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman to lead Raw and SmackDown. That didn't seem to be an issue. So why instead of like doing that, just let Triple H and Stephanie and Shane,
I think if they give them a real, but
he has to step back. He really has to step back.
He doesn't truly ever step back. That's chaotic. The problem.
And it's like, and then you have, and like, we all know that the script gets torn up. You'll have idiots that will go on and say, oh, no, that's all just internet stuff. And it's like, no, like Drew McIntyre literally went out on a podcast or some radio show like a week or two ago, goes, oh, I love the chaos of, Raw, with not knowing what you're doing even a half hour before the show goes on. Sometimes you don't even know what you're going to be doing while the show is going on until later. You just can't run a television show like that, especially a 3-hour television show that's on for 3 hours every single week.
No, you have to have a plan.
You have they're booking encounters rather than stories. It's just like, okay, we just have to get these people on screen. This is the idea that we have to get them on the screen this week, but there's no forward trajectory there. It's just all spinning your tires.
Agreed. And I mean,
like even if it doesn't work, like Stone Cold Steve Austin was the ringmaster when he first debuted, and it wasn't going to work. And then he realized it was going to work. Changed it to Stone Cold Steve Austin, started having some matches. They didn't really understand what a Steve Austin was yet, but they kept at it. He said the Austin 316 thing. It wasn't like he blew up overnight and was like, okay, well, here's Stone Cold and give him the WWF title. They had to build him up still. It's like, NWO wasn't really like a big ratings changer at first, but you stick with it.
You do.
Write a storyline. And somebody should just be assigned to just writing a story that just has a progression. Oh, like stop worrying about swerving the fans every single week and swerving yourself out of a logical progression just to say you swerved everybody. Like even if people see where certain aspects of the storyline are going, just go with it, because you're going to book a competent story. That's all people are asking for.
Yeah, that's it.
Have 6 weeks of television, for like the main story booked out. And just and that executes. You can have the rest of the show could be chaos, but those 6 weeks of television run exactly as the book says. So there's an actual progression there.
Yeah.
But they can't do that.
So Grash and V were saying.
So we get 10,000 contract signings. We get 10,000 tag team breakups because it's like, we don't know what to do this week. Break up that tag team. That'll give us a couple weeks of just crap.
Yeah. So Grash and V were talking about, like, in terms of NXT, because I had brought up, Triple H before, and I said, he should really be heavily involved. And they're making good points about how, even though at the end of the day, it's still developmental, it's still like, like kind of like the minor leagues of the company, but there's still, and the reason why, like, there may have been a little dip, like Grash was saying, but the reason why they overall have been doing they were doing a better job, and this is kind of to the point where you were just making, that's because, hi Paul, but that's just because of the fact that they also, with that, they do have more consistency. They have thought about their storylines, they have thought about things, they have planned out things. And granted, when they initially first started with NXT, they were planning out things a lot more in advance. They weren't on weekly, and it was, they had a little bit more time to really think things through and see how it could pan out and play out and everything.
Well, they would do a month of television.
Yes, but
in like one taping.
But here's the thing about that, though. That planning worked to their favor. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's always going to be harder when you have to do something weekly, but you can plan things. And I'm not saying you have to do it like 6 months in advance, but like 6 weeks. Like, set a goal for yourself of, planning out like a month or, whatever. And of course things are going to change. It's like, when we teach and we do lesson plans, generally we have like an overall idea of what we're doing for the next month or so, and things are going to change just judging by kids' feedback and what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses and things like that. Same thing with WWE. If they kind of have like a little bit of a more of a plan and more consistency, then especially now a crowd's coming back, they can gauge and be like, okay, this is working, this isn't working. You're going to have to make changes to your plans, but at least you have somewhat of an idea and a direction of where you're going.
Yeah.
It just helps overall, because if you do need to change directions a little bit, at least you know that you have something to kind of like fall back on. And I'm sure I'm sure there's, to a degree, like when you don't know what you're doing a little bit, sometimes it's a little, but I would say for the average superstar, it's got to be a little bit more nerve-wracking to think to themselves, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be here or there or doing what. That's got to be a lot.
Yeah. My view on NXT, the reason why it has dipped is actually, yes, it is a developmental thing, but it's still a television show. And they do have big stars on this show. Yes, a lot of these big stars do get whisked away to the main roster to fill in holes, and they just become, just stopgaps for a little bit until they wear out, and they wear out pretty quickly. But the reason I really do believe the reason for the dipping is just because Vince McMahon and all of the grand stupidity, they were paying to put NXT on television. They were paying.
I agree.
To put that show. Hold on, they were paying to put that show on television just to try to just steal viewership from AEW show.
Yeah.
And it's their hubris that has destroyed NXT, because now it's like, now they're on television and they have to, now book themselves like, we have to, they started booking encounters and instead of like stories. We have to have a big, main event appeal match every week rather than just like, booking a solid weekly episodic show that has storylines that all kind of make sense. And also another thing that's hurting them too is that you have to sometimes put people that are underdeveloped on television, because their house shows were their bread and butter of where they were training these people. The people that weren't on NXT when it was on the WWE Network, they had a ton of them. If you ever read like, a house show report from an NXT show in like Fort Myers or something like that, you'd be like, who are all these people? I never even heard of these people. That's where those people were making their bones. And now there hasn't been a house show in a year and 3 months for NXT. And they have to sometimes put these people that aren't ready on the show. And it stinks.
It's not even about the point of that. The point I'm trying to make has nothing to do with it being a developmental or a minor league thing.
I'm just saying that's the reason why it dipped. I'm not disputing your point.
No, I know you're not disputing my point, but the whole point I brought up NXT just in general, it was because of Triple H. When he had more control over everything, he genuinely did a better job than Vince McMahon has been doing overall especially these past few years.
Yeah.
You need to allow people to have control. Give credit, give control a little bit to somebody like Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, and Shane. Just let them see what they got. He's still CEO. But just give them more creative control.
He'll never do it.
I know he won't. But that's just the point I'm just trying to make.
Now, Daniel's saying they have no true developmental like MLB has with the minors. They can't develop because they're rushed and they're exposed. But even when they have people that they've built up very carefully and done everything they could to make sure that they were looking like monsters heading to the main roster. Like prime example, Rhea Ripley. Prime example, Keith Lee was a double champion before they moved him up to the main roster. All it takes is just 2 or 3 weeks of hideous booking and making these people into something that they never were on NXT to kill them. So like they develop some people well. I don't think the match style they teach everybody is the right one. I think everybody learns the same match, and not everybody should be having the same match. Like some matches like Ricochet and what the hell is it? Humberto Carrillo had tonight. Like that's their style. You shouldn't also be teaching that style to bigger guys like I know Keith Lee made his bread and butter on the indie scene, like doing some of that crap, but like that's not how you should be teaching them to wrestle. You almost have to like everything that they do right. They almost have to unlearn it so they can learn the WWE style. That's not the way to build these people up. They're like, everybody cuts the same promo. Everybody has the same match. Everybody has the same signature spots. It's like Jackson Riker now is doing a 1-arm spine buster. Everybody does a suicide dive. It's like, come on. Like their developmental is just like teaching them one style. And that's not the way you develop people. You have to find out what their strengths are and run with that, but can't do that. Anyway, that's my view on NXT. Okay, so let's talk about this show. What in the chat room? What do you give this show? Do you give it and by this show I mean WWE Raw. Do you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Victoria, I ask you that question as well.
You know what? I'm just gonna give it a thumbs up, even though it wasn't the best show. And a lot of things, if I really think back, a lot of things I did not like versus I did like. But the overall, with Riddle and Orton like carrying the show tonight, that's why I can give it a thumbs up.
Yep.
Their interaction alone, consistently throughout the night, can give me a thumbs up.
Okay. Darren Band-Aid Gunter says the suicide dive, also known as the crippler. Yeah, it can really put a hurting on you. Twitter is currently giving this a 77% thumbs down. So there's that. I also have to give it a thumbs down. I thought the Alexa Bliss stuff was just atrocious.
Yeah, and that is very hard to kind of overlook. I do see why you say that.
I thought a tag team battle royal where two teams were represented by one person was atrocious. I thought Elias versus Jackson Riker was atrocious. I don't like contract signings, and I didn't think that was a great segment. Kofi Kingston and Riddle, I was disappointed in. The team RK Bro segments were definitely a highlight. The MVP and Kofi Kingston segment was a highlight, but there weren't enough highlights to outweigh what you're damn Alexa Bliss segment did. It's just turn off television at this point. It just is. Michael Jewell gives this show a thumbs up and Raw a thumbs down. Thank you very much.
I hitchhiker thumb.
Quentin Walters, I never saw Raw, so thumbs up. Shifty didn't watch. He watched the Bret Hart A&E biography and said it was excellent. Yeah.
I want to watch that. Absolutely.
Daniel Schill says I give a thumbs up for RK Bro and Creepy Alexa. RK Bro is really growing on me, but we all know what's going to happen. Yep. Grash didn't see it. Lucky.
Lucky.
Machine Walls gives a thumbs up. Billy Hefner did not watch. Graham Costigan Cripps gives a thumbs down. Raw, I'll give it a thumbs up. Why? Because watching a mass extinction event in progress, and of course, post-Raw thumbs up. Andrew Eldridge just likes watching the dinosaurs go extinct.
He does.
Interesting.
He does.
Jorge Oliva, wrestlers' timing was off tonight. Thumbs down. Final segment made me switch channels. I couldn't finish it. There's no entertainment value there. That's what the E stands for in WWE, right? That's a really
that is, and
right
that they lost so sight of that.
That was a good review. RK Bro drugged this to barely a thumbs up from Brian. Post Raw is a 5 thumbs up from Quentin Walters.
Scotty said, I watched the Jets and
Canadians
game, so he gives it a thumbs.
King of Huecamundo says thumbs down. The ending was bad. Darren Band-Aid Gunter says very cookie cutter. The Alexa Bliss stuff lost me. Yep, I have to agree with that. Mr. V, thumbs down. Mission Walls, thumbs up on the blind. Scotty Poindexter, so I give it a thumbs up. Darren Band-Aid Gunter, Mike and Victoria, thumbs up. Raw, that's 6 thumbs down. Wow. Machine Walls gives it a thumbs up for the blinds. Thank you, Machine. Thank you very much.
I just said that.
I know, I'm just saying. Daniel Shell, when I find a women's softball game better than Raw, but glad to have you guys back. Thank you. King of Huecamundo, the curtains made the house. Indeed. And they're electric. They are automated. So I just have to press a button.
Oh, dear Lord.
It's so wonderful. And I have them automated to go down at sunset. It's so beautiful. And we've had people over the house a lot these past couple of days for Memorial Day stuff, and just barbecuing and all that good stuff that you do when you have a house and you can have people over. And it's definitely
vaccinated.
It's definitely a head turner, and we're all vaccinated. It's definitely a head turner though when everybody's like sitting there and it's sundown, all of a sudden the blinds go down, and then they're like, "This is the house of the automated blinds." It's pretty cool.
Some people still question.
Danielle Shell, we're trying. Every now and then she grabs them.
It's not easy.
But these are really durable blinds. These were actually custom fitted for our windows, so like we're pretty happy with these 3-day blinds. Got to get them. The new blinds made my night from Quentin Walters. Well, thank you everybody. We're gonna have to sign off now for tonight, but we thank everybody for tuning in on Facebook and and on our Wrestleview YouTube channel. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you enjoyed the show, please give us a like. Please share the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you're brand new to our channel. And we appreciate all the support, and thank you very, very much for watching our show tonight. We'll be back next week with Post Raw 128. It's good to be back. Thanks everybody for saying that. And till then, I'm Mike Tedesco.
I'm Victoria Tedesco.
Ciao. And I'm ending the broadcast now.